Carl and Dan here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for sure. And it's reaction time as we're taking a look at Chokehold by Graphic Nature. This doesn't ring a bell for me. I know the label, Rude Records, fairly well, but no, I can't really think of this if I've come across this before. But obviously you have, as you're the one who said we should do this one.
Yeah, they released an EP. This EP recently has got 4 tracks. I think it's 13 minutes long, maybe. It's really short. It's a heavy hitter. I have been really enjoying them recently. This song inspired Jawbone's new song, actually, because I've really been enjoying their sound. I wouldn't know. It's like metalcore, hardcore-y kind of sound. I don't know loads about them. I just like them.
That's good. That's good enough reason. You've heard the songs. I haven't. Let's check this out. In 3, 2, 1, go. I'm expecting it to be a short, sharp burst. Looking at the length of time. Okay. So what's your particular appeal? What's particularly appealing about a track for you?
I just like throw it down, isn't it? It's 2 minutes 40 of high energy. It's just, I don't know, it's just the sort of stuff I like.
But what makes that stand out to you?
I think the production of it, like, it all feels really close together. It's the weirdest way to explain it. It all feels quite tight knit, and the production is really nice. I think specifically his vocals are done in quite a different way. They're brought back a little bit. I think what originally captured my attention was their visual stuff. They've got really, really nice visuals, and I was like, okay, I'll listen to their because I know the graphic designer and I also know the guitarist of Graphic Nature, who is planning to do some videos for us. We all know each other. That's how I found them, through the graphic designer, and it's fun.
I'm narrowing my eyes because, for goodness sake, I want unbiased opinions, and you keep throwing at this stuff.
I barely know the guitarist. I've only spoken to him briefly.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, the reason why I'm throwing this at you, I'm not trying to trip you up. I know it might seem sometimes when you ask those sort of questions, like someone's trying to trip you up so they can go, got you. No, I actually generally want to know your opinion before I give you mine. I don't just want it to be me constantly talking. Now, you started to say something that has intrigued me, and it kind of sparked a thought that I actually have had in my head for the last year or two. And this comes from writing music reviews. So one of the things I found to be incredibly difficult is that how many different ways can you say something's heavy, something's great, something's guttural and stuff like that. So I ended up changing a lot of my writing style and deciding to focus instead on feelings more than anything else. And from that, I was able to develop what I thought was a bit more of a palette where descriptiveness, where I could say words and use words that created imagery, because that's what it was doing to me, how it makes you feel, which is an obvious thing. It might sound obvious where it's like, oh no, well, how music makes you feel. We say that, but often that's not the case. We can be super, I'm not just talking about me and you, but a lot of people, particularly in our world of rock and metal, can be super analytical, where we start going, oh yeah, did you hear the strings on that? And did you hear that hook there and that bridge and stuff like that? And it's like, yeah, okay, but how did it make you feel? Do you know what I mean? Did you get excited? Were you thrilled? Were you picturing something in your head and stuff like that? Now, obviously, when you've got a video to go alongside it, you've got something, I think, that distracts you away from the feeling. Weirdly enough, I'm generally not a huge fan of watching videos with music. Now, I know we do it for this for obvious reasons, but I almost always predominantly listen just the audio because I don't like the distraction often because of the video, but also similar to, like, I guess if you see a live action creation of something you read and they design and create a character that you've known in your head for say 15, 20 years, and then they do it differently on screen, it's just uncomfortable. So that's the kind of thing with me as well, where it's like, if I have these thoughts and feelings about this track and then I watch a video and it doesn't quite fit with what I felt, it can be jarring.
Yeah,
because ultimately music often should be open to interpretation unless there's a specific concept and story that's been written. I'm going around the houses to get around to this, I promise. So, yeah, this made me feel a certain level of desperation. It made me feel a little bit uncomfortable based off more the vocal work than anything else. I think the vocal work is the strongest part of this track. It really, really is. It's got this desperation that I really, really enjoy, where it almost seems uncontrolled. But obviously it's a measured approach. And I really, really like that aspect of things. It's really cool. So I can really, really get into that. I also thought it was really interesting to shift it and change it, because you see 2 minutes 41, you're like, this is going to be blistering for most of it. I figured there'd be a breakdown and all that, but for the most part, you expect them blistering. So they kind of swap it down and drop it down to this whispered style, kind of build back up and things like that. I like that. I like that. I will say, by the end, I was getting a little turned off it, just because I was like, well, we're not going anywhere now. Like, we've stopped going places, and now we're just going back to the start. And I know it's because we're coming to the end and it's a full circle and all that. And obviously you can't just keep progressing. You've got to kind of tighten the song up. So it is like a circle. You come back to and so on. But we kind of did the breakdown, and then it kind of carried on again for a little bit, just too long. It was like, okay, and all that. And talking of which, didn't care for the breakdown. That felt really ho-hum. That felt like, oh, okay, just got to have one, right?
Yeah, I think for me, it is just fun. This is the sort of thing I'd like to go see live and, you know, have fun. It's not something I'm like, I'm going to spin kick somebody's jaw off to it, you know?
No, obviously. I mean, your choice of words puzzles me. For me, that isn't fun. To me, that's an intensity that makes me go, And yeah, I would be intrigued to see it as a live experience as well, in the sense that I wanted to see what that performance on stage would be like. I almost like, I'm making a presumption here, I don't know this, but based off that song, I'm like, yeah, you know what, man, that would surely have some parallels live to something like To Kill Achilles, where you're seeing the passion be exuded on stage, that aspect of things, you know? Yeah. And you're like, okay, you know, Bigger Band, While She Sleeps, how Loz often behaves on stage. I would expect, based off the music I've just heard there, Graphic Nature to perform in a very similar style, where sweat is flying. It's, you know, it looks exhausting. They're on stage even for half an hour. By the end of that, it looks like they've been playing for the last 3 hours. That's what seems to fit with that for me personally. So I don't see it as fun. I see it more intense than anything else. But that can be fun. That can be fun, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I treat music quite differently to how I used to. Obviously, we sit in two completely different objective lights. You know, a lot of the reason I'll listen to music in the first place is based off of what I see visually. Because if I see a really, really cool album artwork, there is a high chance I'm going to be like, okay, I'll give that a listen. I don't have to sit there and review it either. I can just listen to it and enjoy it, you know? And this has really nice EP artwork. That's why I listened to it. And I was like, this is 30 minutes of, you know, I don't think it's particularly heavy. It is definitely, but it's not like stupid heavy.
No, it's not got that doom shit going on.
Yeah, it's not got any of that shit. And I think that's really cool. I really like that. I think stupidly low tunings are boring. I don't like deathcore. I'm in a really weird place with my music at the minute.
I like deathcore.
No one likes deathcore. Deathcore shit.
That's a generalization. There are lots of deathcore bands out there.
My problem with deathcore is always the vocals. I like the instrumentals; they're fine. Vocals always put me off. But this sort of thing is fun for me. It's fast. It's energetic. It's got some boogie, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting way to put it, but, you know, energetic and fast is something I can understand and agree with completely on that front. I think because of that speed, you're probably right. There will be almost an expectation where people are going to be like, oh, this is heavy. And it's like, yeah, it is. It's clearly heavy metal, but it's not like the same. Like when you're holding up against other things and things like that, then of course it's going to be obviously different. The only other point I want to make is, and I did like the video because I got what they were going for by the end, but when it first started off, I tutted. And that was because I could not believe I was seeing another metalcore band in a room, small room, dressed in black, with the camera up close to them. And you know what, man, guys, seriously, you got to start thinking outside the fucking box, literally outside the room for these videos, because that shit is getting a bit stale. The fact that was the first thing I thought was, are you kidding me? Another one of these. Now I'm going to give Graphic Nature a bit of a pass in this, because by the end I think I understood what they were going for a bit more. But that's a willingness to sort of sit with it and give it the time. I think if you instantly kind of feel like I did, you go, oh, it's another fucking one of these. Stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just I'd like to see a little bit more imagination there. This sort of. And this applies to basically all these kind of bands. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, I understand that.
There we go. So thoughts on Graphic Nature's Chokehold. What do you reckon? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?